Inuyasha is kinda back in 2026 and you may not have even known. The newest anime by legendary mangaka and Inuyasha creator Rumiko Takahashi is out now, and wait until you hear its premise. A teenage girl in modern day Japan finds a portal to the past, traveling back to a time where demons roam the Japanese countryside and where she meets a white-haired boy with a special tie to the demons and to her. If it sounds familiar, it should. Mao is Takahashi's spiritual successor to Inuyasha. With nostalgic art, sounds, concepts, and character types, Mao was made for Inuyasha fans. But it's not just copy-paste. There are two big changes that keep this from feeling like a literal redo or ripoff. Whereas in that first series, Kagome traveled through a well to the Sengoku period 500 years ago. New series protagonist Nanoka finds an abandoned shopping street or shotengai that sends her back about 100 years to the Taisho era. That 400-year difference causes a hell of a change-up, as we're still firmly in the past, but an entirely different setting in terms of technology, culture, fashion. The second major shakeup is that whereas Inuyasha had a half-demon boy and a human girl, it's the other way around. Mao is normal, as normal as you can be when you star in a time-traveling action romance, and Nanoka discovers she is the superpowered one. Figuring out why and how they're connected is at the core of a brand new mystery that also makes Mao feel slightly more like a detective story. I've got more to say about the new series, but I want to take a second to clarify this Rumiko renaissance, because it's not just a single show that marks a comeback era. While some of you may be stoked to hear about Mao, others might go, big deal, I don't want a spiritual sequel or successor, I want a sequel. And well, great news, that exists too. A few years back, Yashahime debuted, a 48-episode TV anime telling the story of three daughters, Sesshomaru's twins, Setsuna and Towa, plus their cousin, Inuyasha and Kagome's daughter, Moroha. The series contained plenty of episodes with characters from the original, so you got to see your favorites return with 2020's era animation, and you get to see the parents interact with their children. Now I will say I watched the entirety of Yashahime, and while I enjoyed my time, it's not the definitive Rumiko Takahashi story or anything. In fact, Takahashi did not write Yashahime, and instead supplied the anime staff with character designs and worked as a storyboard supervisor. I bring that up to say, if you thought Yashahime was a miss, and that is what's stopping you from trying Mao, it should not be a problem. Yashahime has the IP, but not the writer. Mao has the writer, but not the IP. So if you literally like those Inuyasha characters, maybe their comfort and you want to see them again, you've got Yashahime. If you like the writing and the feelings Inuyasha evoked more than 25 years ago, you've got Mao, penned by Takahashi herself. And guess what? That is only about half of the Rumiko renaissance we're currently living through. Ranma 1/2 Remake is a new animation project that has been running since 2024, with its third season arriving later in 2026. For the uninitiated, it's a gorgeous, modern adaptation of the manga Takahashi wrote from 1987 through 1996, just before work began on the Inuyasha manga. On the surface, Ranma 1/2 isn't the most Inuyasha-like, but it is another action romance, though it leans more into being a gag manga, not unlike early Dragon Ball or Dr. Slump, being sillier overall. Having said that, Ranma 1/2 can be incredibly hype, and the trailer for Season 3 showcases an unbelievable step up in the action animation. The Ranma/Ryoga rivalry is not dissimilar from Inuyasha and Koga. Ranma has been deeply influential in its own right too, absolutely inspiring Brian Lee O'Malley's Scott Pilgrim comics, both in art style and the general I must defeat suitors in combat so that I can be with the girl energy. Highly recommend Ranma to any Inuyasha fan. Its soundtrack is composed by Kaoru Wada, who did the music for Inuyasha, and you absolutely hear it. These are new tracks, but they sound like they were pulled straight from the Inuyasha soundtrack. Also, the Japanese and English dubs are both excellent, but I genuinely think the Ranma English dub is one of the best English productions out there right now. And fun fact, the guy who voiced Inuyasha in the 2000s also voiced 90s Ranma in one of those old productions. It's all connected. Don't let yourself skip Ranma because there's no time travel or demons. Between the end of Yashahime and the start of Ranma 1/2 Remake, another Rumiko project released. The second anime adaptation of Urusei Yatsura, the series that really launched Takahashi's career even before Inuyasha or Ranma. It's sort of a legendary piece of Japanese pop culture. The series was a smash hit throughout the 80s, and while hardcore fans will no doubt find reasons to dislike the 2022 anime, it is generally well received, faithful, gorgeous, and funny as ever. And believe it or not, there's still more Rumiko work to discuss in this HD era. While no longer new, I would be remiss not to remind folks of Inuyasha: The Final Act, which adapted the final 21 volumes of Takahashi's original Inuyasha manga. As a reminder, the original Inuyasha anime most of us watched did not end. Naraku was not defeated, the story was not finished. So in 2009, that finale released as a new HD production. I think a lot of lapsed fans may not know this existed, possibly never reaching the end of the original anime, so they didn't realize it didn't have a proper ending. So before you jump into Yashahime, be sure to watch the final act or read the manga if the continuity matters to you. Now, before I go, I want to share more of my thoughts on the first 3 episodes of Mao. Not to spoil you, but to let you know what I personally think is working, why I'm digging it, and if you know my taste in anime from my other videos, this may persuade you one way or another. Nanoka will be discovering the extent of her powers, which she's only just awakened to throughout the series. Her being the one with the powers only adds to this fish out of water down the rabbit hole setup. Not only is this ordinary modern girl thrown into a world of demons, but she's a demon too. I love this 1920s Japanese setting, where we are firmly existing in the past, again pre-television, pre-computer obviously, but we're not so distant that medicine, newspapers, streetcars, and some electric power technology aren't at play. This Taisho era is where the story of Demon Slayer was set, and I found that to be an extremely fun setting for that wildly successful series. And the story is not just set here because Demon Slayer was popular or anything. In the fiction, Nanoka says, quote, "There must be some kind of connection between the Taisho era and my time." In other words, why this era and not like the Sengoku period from Inuyasha, for instance? Takahashi seems to have chosen this moment in Japanese history for a specific reason that is central to the time-hopping mystery. In episodes 2 and 3, we learned about the link between Nanoka and Mao's sword. She is the only person besides him who's ever been able to wield the weapon. Anyone who tried to use it just starts spewing blood and dies on the spot. The sword was cursed as it was used to slay Byoki, who our protagonist now suspects attacked Nanoka in the 21st century. Perhaps Nanoka was cursed by Byoki too, and that's why she is compatible with the cursed sword. Is Byoki immortal? A time traveler? Did it choose Nanoka for a reason when it attacked in the 2010s? The time play is so interesting already, only in 3 episodes. Last thing I want to touch on is comparing Inuyasha the character to Mao the character. I've titled this video the way I did, claimed that Inuyasha is back with a spiritual sequel, but I must mention how different these two protagonists are. Mao is this quiet, stoic doctor. In one scene, he's treating peaceful yokai who line up outside his clinic. Otoya says Mao-sama has always been better at fixing things than breaking them. The new male protagonist is this compassionate, smart, mild-mannered doctor. Could not be more opposite from Inuyasha the character, yet this entire setup and series, it feels so comfy, so familiar. So hopefully I've convinced you that between Mao, Yashahime, Ranma 1/2 Remake, Urusei Yatsura Remake, and the 26 episodes of 2009's Inuyasha The Final Act, there is a buffet of Inuyasha related content for fans of the classic anime and manga. Mao shares a premise, Yashahime borrows the characters, Ranma shares the action, comedy, and romance, while Yatsura shows us where it all started. I really do think you'll enjoy Mao if you liked Inuyasha enough to click on this video. If you've seen or read some Mao already, definitely comment to let me know what your thoughts are. Subscribe if you're into retrospectives and news on Millennium Era anime like Digimon, Beyblade, Metabots, and let me know if you want more videos on Inuyasha or any other series I mentioned today. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. If you're still watching, you might like my original novel, Monster Revolution. It's over 200 pages of monster taming adventures inspired by anime like Digimon, Monster Rancher, Metabots, etc. It's on Kindle and Kobo. You can get it digital for $10 or $20 for the physical paperback edition. A ton of great reviews so far, and it really is my love letter to this genre that we grew up with. I'll put links to where you can read the first 20 pages and pick it up if you're interested.